Now we're live stream. We ready to go, Mallory? It seems like live stream and recording. Okay. Kevin, were you going to suggest going ahead and calling to order?
Yeah, that's what I was suggesting, and I've got a short presentation explanation ready for.
Great. What I'm going to do here, it's 11:04. I'm going to call to order. Oops, I got to get my agenda up. This special joint meeting with the Grand County Commission, the Moab City Council, and the San Juan County Commission. I'm going to go ahead and just introduce the folks in attendance that are representatives of Grand County. That would be myself, Chair of the Grand County Commission, Gabriel Wojtek. We have Commission Administrator Mallory Nassau, County Commissioner Kevin Walker, Mary McGann, Sarah Stock, and Trisha Hadeen. We also have in attendance Grand County Clerk Auditor Quinn Hall. And I didn't know if the other entities here present wanted to sort of do their own roll call to introduce, or what the easiest way to do it. I could just rattle off, the list of participants here as well. Sounds like maybe that would be the easiest route to take. Also in attendance here are Kaylin Jones from the Moab City Council, Ronnie Darassari from the Moab City Council. We also have City Manager Carly Castle, and then from San Juan County is Commission Administrator Mac McDonald, Commissioner Willie Gray Eyes, and Commissioner Kenneth Maryboy. Please correct me if I had any errors in that sort of attendance roll. We're going to go right into general business and action items at this moment. Because we are just establishing the groundwork for a potential joint partnership here, we will forego for this meeting a citizens to be heard section. And of course, all three entities are always will receive comment in writing, and at future meetings, we hope to be able to receive public input when we're speaking directly to issues. So with that said, I'll hand it off to you, Kevin.
Okay, I was going to share my screen, but it looks like Mac has shared his. Mac, is it okay if I take over the screen?
Absolutely. Sorry about that.
No problem.
There you go.
Now I got to find the window I want to share. There it is. Okay, can you all see kind of a map?
You can see the resolution.
Okay, great. So before I get started, I just realized in the last few days that no one agrees on what Spanish Valley means. If you ask a geographer or a geologist or cartographer, that it'll be like this whole collapsed salt dome, which starts north of the Colorado River near the entrances, Arches National Park, and goes all the way to the south around Blue Hill. And for the purposes of today, I think that's what we mean. But a lot of people in Grand County think Grand County is basically the blue and green areas here, anything south of the Moab city limits. And I think people in San Juan County, especially people who live in this blue area, just think that the blue area is called Spanish Valley and it excludes everything else. So
Kevin, we're not seeing a map. Are you trying to share a map?
Yeah, you're not seeing it?
I'm seeing the resolution.
We're just seeing the resolution.
Oh, you're not seeing me scroll, right?
I can see your mouse moving and pointing, but not to the map.
Okay, bear with me a moment and okay. I apologize. I'm just going to copy that into a PDF and then resume. I say, yeah, it's possible I shared the wrong window. Yeah, sorry, when people said they saw the resolution, I thought that we're talking about screen resolution. Okay, now can you see a map?
Yes.
Okay, so I was just pointing that, okay, Spanish Valley means three different things. For today, I think it means this whole natural geographic area. But in Grand County, it tends to be these blue and green areas, starting at the city limits, anything south of the city limits. And I think in San Juan County, it means just the blue area. So I'm not going to say who's right and which meaning is best, but I just think we all need to be careful when we use the word Spanish Valley, that the other people know what we're talking about, as I discovered in some recent conversations with folks from the city who said, why are we being invited? We don't have anybody who lives in Spanish Valley. But for Greater Spanish Valley, Moab City, yes, you do. Okay, and this map also makes clear, why are we bothering to do this is because we've got like 3 different legislative bodies and 3 different planning commissions making decisions in this pretty small geographic area. And a lot of the decisions we make have impacts on the other side, and a lot of things we'd like to accomplish require coordination between all 3 entities. So I think the main goal of this resolution is just to do a better job of coordinating without anyone giving up any of their power decision-making abilities. So there's some whereas at the beginning, which says mostly what I just said, that this is one small area. There's 3 different jurisdictions, but we share things like our air quality, our traffic patterns, housing market, job market, et cetera. There can be effects across jurisdictional lines, and communication would help us do that. And so what's the meat of this? First, item number 1 is just a soft promise to communicate and collaborate to the extent possible, on a variety of issues. Number 2 emphasizes that this has no effect on decision-making authority. We'll make land use decisions and other types of decisions exactly the way we did before. No one's giving up any power at all. We're just agreeing to do a better job listening and talking. And then finally, to facilitate that listening and talking, so this is the one concrete thing that does flow from this resolution. We want to set up a working group. It was, we didn't call it a committee. We're trying to make it more informal than that. So we thought a working group was a good neutral name that doesn't come with any legal baggage. And each entity should appoint 3 people. We leave it up to the entity whether they want to appoint staff or Spanish Valley residents or some combination. And the working group will figure out meetings. So this whole resolution is kept deliberately simple so that it's easier for us to agree on. This is our first baby step. We just want to get started. I think after we get some experience, if this first step works, then we might come back and decide that there are ways this could be tightened up or something like that, or maybe not. Maybe we'll like the loose format. But the hope was that this initial very small step would contain some good things and nothing that anyone objects to. So I will stop there, and if there's any questions or clarification that's needed, please let me know. I will, I think already just one question that came up. I think I talked to some people in the city who were confused about what Spanish Valley means, but it is described right here in the first sentence. And another question that isn't addressed here, maybe it should have been, is, are these going to be open meetings or closed meetings? I just assume they're going to be open meetings. Meetings are open by default. And if someone thinks it's important that we could make a quick edit to the resolution to specify that, but I think that I see, if we want to set up separate closed meetings, we can do that too, but this was meant to be an open thing.
How many people have asked about the open meetings, Kevin?
A couple of people from Moab City have asked about it.
Well, then I think perhaps if we've had a couple people ask about it, most likely that's mean more than a couple people are thinking about it. In my motion, I would, if you think it's a good idea, we could just add open. The word open to
Yeah,
clarify.
let me try to bring up an editable version.
And Kevin, to clarify, I think the question was more not if there's open meetings, but rather if this is a public body governed by the Open Meetings Act. And if so, who would be, arranging for the logistics of that body?
Yeah, I guess I was thinking maybe, the Open Meetings Act talks about, people with the authority to convene, and so we're certainly not trying to avoid the Open Meetings Act, but I don't think it comfortably fits in that framework. And again, maybe that's something that could be tightened up later. So I'm thinking of it more as something like the Canyon Country Partnership, where a bunch of different entities come together to discuss. So that's kind of the model. I noticed like there are some people from Sitla here. I think it'd be great if Sitla also wanted to sit in on these things, because they're a large landowner in Spanish Valley with big plans.
Yeah, I wonder though if we are technically creating a public body by passing this. If I just was wondering if that's been evaluated.
Not certain, but if we are and we're following the Open Meetings Act, is it an issue?
I don't think they would have any legislative or executive branch capability.
Yeah, I agree. So I could just add to Mary's thing.
I think that having it clarified rather than insinuated is a good idea.
Okay. So hopefully no one objects to the sentence I just added. The meetings of the working group shall be open to the public. So now it's stated explicitly in there. And again, I don't know how many of you have had experience in the past of trying to get joint resolutions passed, but it's, we need to be careful not to let the perfect be the enemy of the good. I'm sure a lot of us who are in the habit of writing resolutions see some things we'd like to change, but I'd rather pass something than just have this take up a lot of time, with wordsmithing. So hopefully we're just doing either issues that are easy to address or issues that are very important. Kalen has his hand
up. Ronnie had her physical hand up first, so.
Okay.
Go ahead, Ronnie.
Not on my screen.
Darn, I forgot about the electronic hand. So I just had a few questions that are partially for me, partially for the public, and then maybe to help our body, since we don't have a quorum today, just understand a little bit more. So I think, Kevin, so this is kind of for information. My understanding, this might be a discussion I need to have with the new mayor, but was that the mayor recently started a group to have discussions with Grand County and San Juan County. And if you could just kind of recap on if you think this is redundant or different, because the membership is different. And was there ever any discussion about having say, elected officials on a body like this, or the whole idea was that if it was
Yeah,
residents or
so
staff?
I think this is not redundant. It is different. I think it's fine if there are other forums in which we're discussing things. For example, we do have for just purely water issues, there are other groups that get together and discuss. This is a little more centered on planning and zoning, though it's not limited to that. But I think having just elected officials huddle together, maybe not in an open meeting, that's really useful too. So I don't think this precludes doing other things. We're not trying to usurp and absorb all possible. We're just trying to provide an additional forum for discussing and sharing information in an area, namely planning and zoning and related issues where it seems like there hasn't been as much as there could be in the past.
Ronnie, my understanding is we have started meeting city and Grand County just to discuss and move forward. But Gabe's being chair and I might be aware of something different, but I have not heard of a plan. Joette has not related to me a plan for city, county. She did mention in our city, when the city and county met, that she wanted this resolution passed before we did anything formally.
Okay, thanks. That's helpful. And then just in terms of going back to Carly's question about creating a public body, just something to think about, because I know some of my residents asked, like, if they, can they watch a meeting? Can they read minutes of a meeting? I didn't know if you guys were planning to have, posted minutes if somebody meets it, or recordings, if somebody's interested. So just things to think about. And then just in case it helps anyone on that end, there is always to think about with these things, the administrative support end. So I was just wanting to make sure everybody was thinking about what, if any, administrative support they thought the group would need, just so we think through and people, don't feel like they needed that and they ended up without it. And let me just see, I was just gonna see if I had anything else. Yeah, no, I think that those were kind of my questions and just observations, having gone to other meetings or gotten, occasional questions from the public or kind of community boards, just maybe constructive criticism or something for the next time around. And I'm just trying to think if there was something else. Oh, it wasn't totally clear to me. Is it just each individual body who will choose the working group members?
Yes.
Okay.
Intent.
Okay. Yes. Thanks. And then obviously we're talking, a lot of planning and zoning. Is there anything when we go back and talk to colleagues at the city? Obviously we have a list in here of things like dark skies and noise events. Is there anything else like maybe more city specific that isn't on this list that stands out to you guys that we should mention to colleagues? And it's fine if there isn't. I just, since Kaylin and I are, report on this to them.
I was like, maybe there's not.
Okay. Okay. No, thanks. That's what I had.
Okay, Kaylin?
A question about 3A membership.
Mhm.
It's called out as staff or Spanish Valley residents. If it was intentional to exclude electeds, or if that was assumed.
I think the focus, the models we have in mind, planning commission, which is typically citizens, not elected officials and not staff. But certainly it will be great. I think it would make sense to appoint at least one staff member from each jurisdiction. I don't know, we could include it. I mean, I guess, for Grand and Moab, the elected officials are also residents. It fits that way. For San Juan, they're not. I don't know, do people, so this only affects San Juan County. Do they have a preference? Or? Were you guys planning on, do you guys want the option of sending elected official, one of your commissioners to this as a city. I mean, of course, people can always attend. It's open. So I'm not hearing anything, but that's a change we can make in the future if we're going to do that. But it certainly, this wasn't really meant to be very constraining, so counties should be able to send who they want.
Okay, thanks.
I would like to make, go ahead.
Are there going to be bylaws for this committee, or are they just ad hoc? So let me throw out a hypothetical. Let's see how this process works in our minds. If Spanish Valley or San Juan County is approached by a developer that they're going to develop property within Spanish Valley, a lot of times those developers will tell us, okay, as we run through the planning process, we don't want this information released until we go to the planning commission. And so say they're building a 50-track affordable housing development in Spanish Valley. Are we supposed to put our planning process on hold to run this through the committee? And then, so are we creating another level of government in there, or what? At what point do we approach this committee with that development?
Yeah, I would say no, nothing should, there's no mandate, nothing should be put on hold unless, you decide you'd like to, but, this doesn't, in no way obligates you putting things on hold, I would say. This thing about proprietary information is probably better, if there's something that really isn't supposed to be known to the public, then it probably shouldn't be presented to this group. I think, the practical effect of this, I'm imagining, is that, this group's going to have discussion, and we're going to say, and they're going to identify some issues where maybe we need to step up our coordination game or not, and they might report to the respective legislative bodies. So one might hear on the San Juan County Commission that, such and such uses, they're governed one way in San Juan County and a different way in Grand County, and that's maybe creating some issues. So let's think about that, or that kind of thing. But I don't think, is not the intent of this to change the sort of the process for approving new developments. It might inform the process with extra information or observations, but it doesn't change the procedures. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
From my understanding, this resolution is just to have a commitment to communicate and get together and share what each body is doing, so that there aren't surprises and people are feeling supported.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good way of putting it. I think it's mostly about communication. It deliberately avoids trying to change decision-making procedures, but I'm just hoping that we'll use the existing decision-making procedures that will be more informed and more aware of, the effects of things happening on the other side of a city limit or county line.
Gabriel, are you ready for a motion?
Yes, Mary. I would entertain, if you
So-
want to
so
go
actually,
right ahead.
just to make it clear, we're probably going to do like two or maybe two different
today.
motions.
Two
So
today.
this is just Grand County.
Yeah, and I'll direct order we consulted with our county attorney, and I'll direct order for San Juan to make a motion and vote as the host chair of this meeting. But
And
I would.
my understanding is the city's going to vote on this at their most likely February 22nd meeting. Okay, I move to approve the joint resolution encouraging communication collaboration on jurisdictional issues in Spanish Valley, and establish a Spanish Valley working group to facilitate communication and coordination.
And Mary, does that motion include
This
approval of the
includes-
edits?
Yes, as well as with the edit of having meetings of the working group shall be open to the public with the addition. Is that clear
Thank
enough?
you. Thank you very much. That was a motion by Commissioner McGann. And do I have a second? A second by Commissioner Walker. I'm just going to do a roll call vote here. All right, any further discussion amongst the Grand County Commission now that there's a motion by the Grand County Commission on the floor? Seeing no further discussion, I'll call for a vote. Kevin Walker,
Yes.
Sarah Stock,
Aye.
Mary McGann,
Yes.
Tricia Dean,
Yes.
and Gabriel Wojtek, aye. So that vote passes unanimously. All right. I would entertain a motion. Let me get this up here. I would entertain a motion by the San Juan County Commission to approve a joint resolution encouraging communication and collaboration on cross-jurisdictional issues in Spanish Valley and establishing a Spanish Valley working group to facilitate communication and coordination and including the edits discussed in today's joint meeting. Do I have a motion?
I will motion.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Maryboy. And do I have a second from Commissioner Gray Eyes? All right, I have a motion.
Have we heard any audio from Willie on this call?
I haven't heard him on there. It's showing that he has audio and video. So I don't know.
All right, again, I have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Maryboy, and I'm hoping to get a second from Commissioner Gray Eyes, if you hear me.
Smoke signal, maybe.
All right.
I will call him and see what's going on.
Okay, thank you,
Okay.
Mary.
So while we're waiting for that, then, so the idea is once some city council members get back into town, like roughly 2 weeks from now, this will be on the city agenda?
Carly, I know you're on this.
Oops, Ronnie, you muted yourself.
Sorry. Carly, I was just assuming that was our next meeting. I know we don't have this on the agenda for tonight and we don't, have a quorum now. So that my guess was that was our next viable meeting for this. Does that sound logical?
I'm sorry, I was just talking to myself because I didn't unmute. It's like, why is no one responding to me? That is, I think, the earliest feasible option for us, the 22nd.
I have gray eyes. I have gray eyes on the phone. I have gray eyes on the phone right now. And I will let him do the second. He says he's unable to unmute his computer. So here Willie is. So go ahead and make the second.
There's a weird echo, but
I recommend that the motion be restated so we understand that Willie Gray Eyes understands what he's motioning or seconding.
Thank you.
Seconding.
Thank you, Commissioner Gray. So we have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Maryboy to approve the joint resolution presented today, along with edits discussed at this meeting that establish this as an open and public forum. And so that motion is on the table, and I'm just looking for a second from you, Commissioner Gray Eyes.
A motion.
Did you hear that?
I'd like to state a comment.
The audio isn't quite working. I'm not sure how to, let's see how we can move forward.
So
Gray Eyes, once again, Gray Eyes, would you once again say, I second the motion?
Right, and Mary, if you can turn down the volume on your machine so that we don't get an echo. If you can just turn down the volume on your laptop or whatever device you're using.
Give your second motion. Again.
Hello?
Hello, Gray Eyes. Just say I second the motion.
I did.
It echoed so much that they didn't hear it. So we just need you to say it again.
Yep.
Can unmute me on the screen, it'll be okay. Somebody is sitting on my.
Mallory, can you unmute Willie from your end?
I cannot. I have hit the ask to unmute, but it isn't giving the option or taking any action.
So another option is we could email to Willie the phone number to dial into the meeting. That would be better audio quality if we did it that way.
Mary?
So have we emailed Willie the phone number
Looking for
that he
it.
can call in?
So if anyone lays their hands on it, maybe put it in the chat.
I'm putting it in the chat right now.
Thank you.
Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Mary.
Okay, I was afraid I was frozen. Thank you. So have we contacted?
Can Willie see the chat? And if so, is that enough information for him to dial in? If not, you could tell him over the phone, Mary, he could maybe write down, but it's kind of tedious to get on the Zoom meetings because you have to punch in so many numbers.
We were disconnected. Maybe if Mallory calls him, I will forward you his phone number, Mallory.
I guess while we're waiting, are folks envisioning that this is going to be a place where you mentioned talking about planning and zoning. So like in the future, I know Grand County is interested in developing a water ordinance or a landscaping ordinance, and these things are overlapping maybe with that other water service providers working group, but perhaps there's other examples of where our ordinances could overlap. Is that what you're envisioning for a group like this, or is it more general?
I'm sorry, Sarah, I was sending a text to Willie, so could you just briefly repeat what the
I
question
guess
is?
it was kind of a fuzzy question. I know that Grand County is interested in developing restrictions on like turf, landscaping for water conservation, just as an example. And I think that it makes a lot of sense to have ordinances reflecting the same, especially if it's like restricting the types of plants that are planted or something, you know. Is this the kind of place where we might work together?
Maybe, though, I mean, I think I think we should start with easier issues where there's more likely to be agreement. And I think like telling people what kind of plants they can put in their yard, you know, that doesn't have universal support. So I would tend to shy away from issues. I think there's also not quite as many I mean, yeah, it all affects the aquifer. But on the other hand, I do think we have structure set up for discussing some water policies. So I wouldn't want to start with that one personally.
Yeah, I guess there's another format for that. So the conversations happening within this group are more general, talking about zoning.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's
Density.
there's a list of ideas in the resolution. But I think it's not meant to be limited, but in cases where I think we should start with the things that are most likely to generate agreement and then work toward things where there might be less agreement. And I think where there exists other forums to discuss issues like there is for some subset of the water issues, it maybe makes sense to just leave it to those groups and not be redundant.
Poor Commissioner Gray Eyes' phone's probably blown up with everybody texting him.
He's got a million texts.
I've sent pictures, I've sent text, and so everybody else on here is as well. So
yeah, I mean, I guess the other thing he could do is try to.
He's dialing right now. It says I got information that he is dialing.
Okay, good. I mean, he could also hang up from Zoom and then rejoin, and that might fix his muting issue.
Support your local broadband efforts.
Yep. Oh.
This is Mallory. Sorry, I turned off the volume so I could make the phone call. So I'm not sure where we're at, but Commissioner Gray Eyes is calling in right now. So I'll let him in as soon as we see him popping up.
Okay. Well, while we're at it, I see some Sitlo folks on this call. Do you have any comments or anything like that? Anything you want to say? If not, that's fine, but not trying to put you on the spot. But. Okay, I got a chat message and a comment to offer.
I'm not seeing Commissioner Gray Eyes in the waiting room yet, so maybe in just a moment I can give him a call and make sure. Oh, let's see.
I see two phones here now.
Commissioner Gray Eyes, are you there?
And then a *6 to unmute, I think.
And press *6 to unmute, perhaps.
I got it. No, still not unmuted.
Kumbaya time.
Okay, now I see yet another number coming in.
Yep,
It's-
I'm thinking that this is Commissioner Gray Eyes.
Yeah, I think it's the 928 number.
That is his.
Okay. Commissioner Gray Eyes, do you hear us?
Yes.
Oh,
Yay! So
Thank
nice to
you.
hear your voice.
Would you like me to restate the motion, or are you that I'm asking you to second so that you all can vote?
What's that? Get his third address.
I'll just go ahead and restate the motion that Commissioner Mary
The
Boyd.
motion.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. And is there any further discussion? I think you said, Willie, you said previously that you might have had a comment to make. So now would be, if you have any further discussion before voting, you'd be welcome to do so now.
I've been trying to get through all the time. In order my idea of how it's going to be set up, but I'll just go ahead and then let it go.
Okay, so yeah, it sounded like maybe you said that you maybe some parts were unclear in terms of details for the setup, but that you're interested in moving forward. Am I correct? Is that what you stated? Oops, we're not hearing you clearly, Commissioner Grass. So your audio, I'm sorry to interrupt. Your audio, we're not picking up anything. Oh, I think we got you now. And if you did something different, or if you changed locations, we might be able to hear you now. Okay. I'm sorry, Commissioner Graz. I just want you to know we're not hearing any audio from you right now.
So if we have to, commissioners, we could take this in our county commissioner meeting next Tuesday and formalize it at that point as well.
Yeah, maybe that would be easiest at this point.
That'll be good. Yeah.
Okay, well.
Okay, well that the motion by Commissioner Maryboy fails due to lack of a second. And discussion by San Juan County is that they will look to put this on their next commission agenda. Thank you, Administrator McDonald.
I think we got a second. I think we did not get the comment.
Yeah, I think we lost.
Yeah, he did.
Sorry.
He did acknowledge.
So,
Sorry,
I don't
yeah.
know if be able to get a vote from him on there, which is what I worry about.
Yeah, I think if the audio is so poor that we can't really tell what he's saying.
We got the second
we
motion
did.
from him, but he wanted to make a comment. That's about it. But the motion, first and a second, already happened.
Yep, that's my mistake. Thanks for clarifying. Let the record reflect that there was a second on the table, but discussion and a vote was not able to take place
Because of technical difficulties.
due to technical difficulties. Thanks.
Okay, well, we certainly hope, Chair, may I make some closing remarks?
Please, thank you.
Okay. I do hope that both Moab City and San Juan County can pass this without, amendments that would cause it to have to go back and forth. I think it does some good things. It might not be perfect, or there might be some details that need to be filled in. I think we can do that at a later revision after. So I'm just very optimistic that we can pass this resolution as it's written right now, the one that Grand County has already passed, and then start meeting. And then once we've got a few meetings under our belt, might have some ideas for what the next steps are. So thank you, everyone.
Yes, I pray
Thank you. Go ahead, Mary.
I'm hoping this is the beginning of a good working relationship between the three bodies. Thank you.
As do I. Thank you, commissioners. I'll go ahead. It's 11:50. I'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting. Thank you all for your attendance.
Thank you.
Thanks.